Basic Math, Chapter 9, Section 8, Subtracting Unlike Mixed Numbers. You can subtract unlike mixed numbers. First, rename the fractions to make like mixed numbers, then subtract the like mixed number. For example, subtract 6 3/4, take away 2 1/3. Think, 3/4 is equal to how many 12ths? To make an equivalent fraction, we can multiply the 4 times 3 to get 12, and we can multiply 3 times 3 to get 12. Think about 1/3. To get an equivalent fraction of 1/3 to 12ths, we would be changing 3 by multiplying by 4 and multiplying 1 times 4 to get an equivalent fraction. 1 times 4 is 4, so 4/12 is equivalent to 1/3. So step 1, make the like fractions. Use 12 as the denominator because that's the least common multiple. So it shows that step 1. Step 2, subtract the like mixed numbers. Make sure the answer is in lowest terms. 9 minus 4 is 5. 6 minus 2 is 4. 4 and 5/12 is the answer, and it is in lowest terms. Sometimes you need to regroup the first mixed number to subtract the fractions. Subtract 15 1/2, take away 3 4/5. Step 1 is to make like fractions. Use 10 as the denominator because it's the least common multiple between 2 and 5. So 15 5/10, 3 8/10. If we wanted to subtract, we would take 8 from 5, but we need to regroup first. So that's step 2. We need to regroup so we can subtract. Regroup 15 5/10 for more tenths. Take 1 from 15 and rename as 10/10. 14 plus 10/10 plus 5/10 equals 14 10/15. 14 15/10 take away 3 8/10. We have like fractions. We can take 8 from the 15 now, and that leaves us with 7. 14 minus 3 is 11, so the difference is 11 7/10. Practice A, subtract. Write the answer in lowest terms. So here we have a few options we can work with. Let's start with number 4. So we have the whole number 9 7/10 and 3 2/5. We can make a like fraction of fifths to tenths by multiplying the 2/5 with 2/2. 2 times 2 is 4, and 5 times 2 is 10. So an equivalent fraction of 2/5 is 4/5. 4/10. Now we can subtract 4 from 7 is 3, and 3 from 9 is 6, so we get 6 3/10. Let's try one more with number 10. So the first number goes on top, 5 and 6/7, and then the second number, 2 and 2/3. Now let's make these into like fractions with 21 as the new denominator. And we can multiply 6/7 times 3/3, which is showing an equivalent fraction. We're just changing the denominator from 7 to 21. Remember, 3/3 equals 1, so really 1 times any number is the same number. It's the same value. And the whole number 5. To get to 21 as the denominator from the denominator 3, we would multiply 2/3 by 7/7. And that would give us 14/21, and the whole number stays the same. Now we can subtract 18 minus 14 and get 4/21, and 5 minus 2 is 3. And that's in lowest terms. All right, let's take a look at a couple more. Let's look at 14. We've got 9.5 minus 9.5 minus 4 3/4. So first is to make like fractions. We want to make these both have denominators of 4. So we can multiply 1/2 by 2/2, and that would give us 2/4. The whole number stays the same as 9. And then 4 3/4 hasn't changed. We can't take 3 from 2 though, so we have to regroup. So take 1 from 9 and give 4/4 to 2/4 to make 6/4. Now we can take 3 from 6 and we get 3/4. You can see that we took this 3 away from that 6, and we're left with 3. And now we're going to subtract this 4 from the 8, and we'll be left with 4 whole. So 4 3/4 is our answer. So that's how we can regroup. Everyday problem solving shows us this too. Tracy saw this chart in the business section of the newspaper. The closing price of a stock is the price for the stock at the end of the day. How much higher was the closing price of Kanga than that of Big T's? So let's subtract. So we've got Kanga and Big T's. So let's subtract the 2, and we can rewrite them. 37 3/4. I should move this over here. I'm going to write it over here. All right, let's try this again. 37 3/4 for Kanga. Take away 35.5. So to make them like fractions, we'd have to multiply the 1/2 by 2/2, and that's going to show us 37 3/4 hasn't changed, but 35 now is 2/4. And we're going to be left with, subtract the fraction part first, then the whole number, 2 1/4. Number 2, how much higher was the closing price of Top Mart than that of Big T's? So here we just have the price 38 3/8. So you can try that on your notebook, and then you can do some more practice in your workbook for Chapter 9, Section 8. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.